Hello, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, I don't know how many of you were aware, but they had an impeach, convict, and remove Donald Trump rally in Washington, D.C. And it wasn't as big as the No Kings March, but they still had a pretty good turnout in D.C. So the crowd was a combination of There's a little variety. Some people that still supported Donald Trump, but of course they were drowned out by the people that are angry with Donald Trump. And there are some that were Republicans and now they're against Donald Trump. And of course, the Democrats that are against, and our people were not out there in a big way. You know how lily white most of the protests look now that we are taking a rest and not concerned about what's going on out here and trying to be more concerned about ourselves. So I have some highlights that I'm going to show you. And but before we get to that, I just want to remind you that the sale is still on Etsy. You want to use promo code cyber 2025, but if you use the link lisacraft.etsy.com, you should already see the discounts calculated into the price. So everything is 37% off until December 4th, and then there'll be another sale in December. So you'll have another opportunity to make purchases if you did not catch this sale. All right. And also for Shopify, the sale is also on until December 4th. You want to use promo code CYBER37 over on Shopify to get your 37% off discount. All right. All right. So there are people very upset with Donald Trump and they're calling for his impeachment. Probably louder more than I've ever heard, even in his first term. But people are tired of Donald Trump. They're tired of the way the country's being ran, and they want Donald Trump gone. But you know Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a very vain person. He ain't going nowhere, even if the whole place is complaining about him. He's going to just ignore it all and just stay and do his term. This man will get in front of the camera and tell you what a fantastic job he's doing, and everything is all the prices are lower. I mean, I was like, man, he must act like we don't see what's going on out here. Like he's going to tell us what's going on and we have no clue. But that's what he's doing. But it's funny to see so many of his own people are the ones that are screaming the loudest about Donald Trump being impeached. Whoever knew, right? All right. So let me go ahead and share this screen. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Thursday, calling on Congress to impeach and remove President Trump from office for alleged treason. Organizers say this marks the peak of a growing protest movement. While official turnout numbers are still pending, early estimates suggest several thousand people attended. What makes this protest different, organizers say, is its specific demand. They want Donald Trump impeached, convicted, and removed from office. Here's what one protester told me.
We need to remove the regime. Donald Trump has been acting illegally.
Echoing that message. As you mentioned, Alex, The president's approval ratings are at historic lows, with about 60% of those surveyed disapproving of his performance. Many in this crowd fall into that group. Protesters say they're frustrated with healthcare, rising living costs, and immigration enforcement. We heard from several attendees, along with musical performers and a few elected officials who spoke at the event. The rally is winding down, but as you can see, protesters remain on site, holding flags and signs expressing their dissatisfaction.
This is breaking news. A very large rally just broke out in Washington, D.C. called Remove the Regime and Impeach Mr. Donald Trump. Get him out. Thousands of people are protesting right now. This is happening at the National Mall. They are demanding Mr. Donald Trump be impeached and removed from office. And a bunch of veterans yesterday who were parading around are now in this protest. This is really big news because it just happened out of nowhere. And I think in 2026, when the midterms come around, and when all the blue wave comes into tsunami and everything else, I really do think that Mr. Donald Trump will be impeached and removed from office, especially now that all the Republicans are starting to see and come and join the Democrats, just like with this major Epstein vote and the files. All the Republicans joined except one. I think the occupants of the White House are going to get kicked out. They're done.
No president has divided Americans and families more than Donald Trump. He turned American against American, neighbor against neighbor, family against family. I don't even talk to my own fucking family. Now, I don't want to be here. I want to be home in my safe place in the world under a blanket with my wife and dog.
Breaking news. Major protests have just erupted in Washington, D.C., and the tension is skyrocketing. We are seeing a very large rally taking place right now in the National Mall titled Remove the Regime, where crowds are openly calling for the impeachment and removal of Donald Trump. There are hundreds of people gathering as we speak, but here is what makes this different. A large contingent of these protesters are United States military veterans. They marched into the Capitol yesterday, and today they are standing side by side with activists demanding that the president be held accountable. Now, we have to be real about the politics here. With Republicans currently controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House, any official impeachment effort is essentially dead on arrival. But that has not stopped organizations like Flare USA from putting on this massive demonstration. These mobilizations continue to happen, and reports suggest they don't make the president too happy because he hates seeing protesters in the city where he lives. The crowds are chanting, the energy is high, and they are refusing to go home. This is developing rapidly. As always, spread the word so everyone knows what is happening. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Follow along for all the news you need to know, and I'll keep you guys updated with more to come soon.
Thousands gathered near the Lincoln Memorial as organizers called on Congress to impeach and remove President Trump for alleged acts of treason. The protest, part of the Resist the Regime March, continued despite dreary weather, with crowds reaching the final gathering point by midday. Organizers said their demands were specific: impeach, convict, and remove Donald Trump from office. One participant said the goal was to fix the country and address what they viewed as illegal actions and excessive executive power. Demonstrators emphasized that the effort was not just about uniting, but about mobilizing supporters and channeling that momentum into continued advocacy. Many cited frustration with healthcare, cost of living, and immigration enforcement. The event featured speeches from activists and elected officials, along with musical performances. As the program concluded, protesters held signs and flags expressing dissatisfaction with the administration, reflecting the historically low approval ratings reported for President Trump.
So Donald Trump called Tim Walz the R word today. Wow, that's hilarious. Calling the governor of Minnesota the R word. Oh my God, you're such a comedic genius, Mr. President. But folks, he did this knowing very well that Tim Walz's son, Gus, has a severe learning disability. Is this who we really want to be as a country? This is so low. Come on, guys. We are better than this.
We have some major news right now. A very large rally just broke out in Washington, D.C., titled Remove the Regime, calling for the impeachment and removal of Donald Trump. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people on the National Mall right now, as we speak, protesting and demanding the removal of Donald Trump from office, including hundreds of United States military veterans who came to Washington, D.C. yesterday. They marched, and today they're appearing as part of this rally. Now, right now, there aren't impeachment efforts on Capitol Hill. With Republicans controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House, any impeachment effort is really dead on arrival. But it has not stopped organizations like Flare USA from putting on this large rally. But these mobilizations continue to happen, and honestly, they don't make the president too happy, because he does not want to see protesters in his city where he is currently living, and that is what's happening right now. As always, spread the word. I'll have more updates about this and more, so follow along for all the news that you need to know about. Stay tuned. I'll have much more to come soon.
We have some major news right now, a huge economic blackout and boycott.
Guess what? A huge rally has broken, it's Sunday, okay? And a huge rally broke out today in Washington, D.C. And included in this rally are generals. Some of them are 5-star generals, but there's several hundred people, and they are chanting, "Dump Trump." Did you hear what I said? Impeach Trump. And then they're saying, "Dump Trump." I love it. Guys, we have all got to begin saying that. We got to let our lawmakers know that, because they work for us. And apparently everybody is ready to do their jobs now, that they know that we're serious. We're not playing. We're ready for this Trump to go. It's been too much. We can't take any more of this. And the violence, we're ready for it to stop. We're ready to stop being violent with each other, and we want it to stop at the top. Dump Trump now. They are in Washington, D.C. There's several hundred at this rally, and they are going around chanting it. And you know it is making him crazy. He hates to see rioters in his own city calling for his impeachment, calling for him to leave office. He knows that his time is near. I am so happy.
Impeach me and I'll sue you. That's essentially what President Trump is threatening. This comes as a major showdown is brewing between the president and House Democrats. Lawmakers want to subpoena current and former White House aides over their statements in the Mueller report, specifically former White House counsel Don McGahn. For more on that, let's bring in CBS News White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. All right, Weijia, why executive privilege?
Well, that is their tool right now in order to block these testimonies from happening, in order to cover up any evidence that they do not want lawmakers to see. However, lawmakers are making clear that ship has sailed because they did not exert executive privilege before to withhold.
They call presumptive immunity. That means prosecutors have to overcome a huge legal barrier just to bring charges. The assumption is that the president is immune, and proving otherwise is extremely difficult. Think about what this means in practice. A president can do almost anything while in office and claim it was an official act. They can pressure officials, they can fire people, they can make decisions that benefit themselves personally. And as long as they can argue it was part of their official duties even loosely, they're protected from prosecution. Critics across the political spectrum have pointed out that this ruling doesn't weaken Trump's legal position. It strengthens it dramatically. It makes criminal accountability harder, not easier. It delayed and derailed the criminal cases stemming from January 6th and other episodes. Jack Smith's prosecution got thrown into chaos because of this ruling. Cases that were ready to go to trial suddenly had to be reconsidered. Evidence that prosecutors thought they could use became questionable. The whole legal landscape shifted in Trump's favor, and the Supreme Court did this intentionally. 6 justices looked at the question of presidential immunity and decided, yeah, we're going to make it really hard to prosecute presidents. We're going to give them a shield that protects almost everything they do in office. Now, some people celebrated this decision. They said it protects the presidency as an institution. They said presidents need to be able to make tough decisions without worrying about prosecution later. They said this is how the Constitution was supposed to work all along. But here's the thing. If presidents can't be prosecuted for abusing their power, then who holds them accountable? The Supreme Court's answer is crystal clear. Congress does. Through impeachment. That's not me interpreting the ruling. Legal analysts have explicitly pointed this out in their analysis. By giving presidents broad immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts, the court has effectively pushed more responsibility onto Congress to use impeachment and disqualification if a president abuses power. The courts are saying we're not the check on presidential abuse anymore. Congress is. So when you hear people talking about impeachment now, it's not just political theater. It's not just Democrats being partisan. It's a direct response to what the Supreme Court has done The court has told the country, if you want accountability.
I hear these pundits and elected officials saying, just wait until the midterms. 2026 is going to fix it. Well, let me ask you something. Do the families being hunted by ICE and CBP, do they have a year to wait? No. Do women losing rights and autonomy over their bodies, do they have a year to wait? No. Do working class Americans with skyrocketing health insurance premiums like myself who can no longer afford health insurance, do we have a year to wait?
And look on the bright side, you can't get blood from a stone. And we're on the right side of the ground where they bury the bone. The ground where they bury the bone. You took us all to the cleaners, gave your cronies the keys to the vault. No remorse and no regret, because nothing is ever your fault. You spread your hate to divide us, cause you want us scared and alone. But you'll soon fall in disgrace when you're dragged out on high from your throne. Hey, look on the bright side, you can't get blood from a stone. And we're on the right side of the ground where they bury the bone. The ground where they bury the bone. What do you want?
Counted on us being trapped in this hypnotic state where we forget our power, where we forget who we are. But the American people have not forgotten who we are.
I'm in Washington, D.C., where folks are marching in the Resist the Regime protest. People from all over the country, from lots of different backgrounds, came out here today. Now, what makes this protest different is that there's a very specific demand from the organizers. Impeach, convict, and remove President Donald Trump. The people I've spoken to today say they are sick of watching things happen on their phones and their TVs, and they're frustrated with how President Trump has handled immigration enforcement, the cost of living, healthcare, and more.
I think it's absolutely disgusting how they were ripping children away from their parents, sending people to countries they'd never even been to before. Most of these people are hardworking citizens. They pay taxes. They're my friends, they're my neighbors, and they are getting ripped away from their families. And it's just totally unacceptable.
One protest is not going to solve this. And I also think the midterm elections are not going to solve this, and lobbying politicians is not going to solve this. I think what we need is what we've seen around the world when millions of people come into the capital city, stay in the streets, and demand the fall of the illegitimate regime.
Breaking news. Washington, D.C. is shaking tonight because something is happening that Donald Trump never imagined. A massive uprising called Remove the Regime has erupted on the National Mall, and the crowd is roaring one message loud enough to shake the White House windows: remove Trump now. This is an uprising of anger, betrayal, and exhaustion. Veterans who once defended this country are now standing against its own president. Parents are holding signs saying they're done being lied to. Students are chanting like they're fighting for their future. And here's the wild twist. There is no impeachment happening in Congress. None. Legally, Trump is fully protected by a Republican-controlled House and Senate. So why are thousands here? Because people feel abandoned, ignored, silenced. They don't trust Congress anymore. They're taking the fight to the streets. Flare USA and other groups have defied warnings from the White House and are calling for daily demonstrations until Trump is removed. Sources inside the administration say Trump is furious and terrified. He does not want cameras showing crowds demanding his downfall in the city he now lives in. But tonight, it's unavoidable. The crowd is growing, the chants are getting louder, and the question echoing across the nation is, if Congress won't act, what happens when the people decide they've had enough? Comment your thoughts below.
Since Thursday, organizers and leaders have been calling on Congress to impeach and remove President Trump from office over acts of treason. MS Now's Maya Eaglin is on the scene for us right now, in fact. So, Maya, there are a lot of people with whom you've been marching and following along there, really close to the Lincoln Memorial. But it's been pretty dreary weather, so there's got to be a lot of passion to bring these folks out. What are they telling you? Why are they there?
100%. Yeah, I mean, this morning we had rain. Thankfully, it cleared up a little bit, but it's still pretty cloudy out here. But I want to show you the crowds because this is the ending point for the Resist the Regime protests. But as you can see, there are lots of people. We won't have the official numbers until after, but my best estimate would probably be thousands. Now, what makes this protest different is that they're very specific demands. The organizers say they want to impeach, convict, and remove Donald Trump. Take a listen to one protester I spoke with along this route.
We need to fix this country. We need to remove the regime. Donald Trump has been acting illegally, acting out, or Congress has been treating his executive orders as if they are law, and he doesn't have the power that they have given him to do.
It's not just let's come together, it's let's come together and then take actions from here. So it's like raising awareness, getting people excited, getting people to come out, and then taking that energy and then really utilizing it for this advocacy, for this mobilization with the end goal of, we have a clear end goal and we're working, every week, every day to really get him out.
Alex, as you mentioned, those approval ratings are historically low for President Trump. About 60% of the people surveyed disapprove of President Trump. Many of them could be in this crowd. A lot of these people say they are frustrated with healthcare. They're frustrated with the cost of living. They're frustrated with immigration enforcement. And so we've been hearing from some of them. There were some musical guests as well as some elected officials speaking at the program today. This is probably going to wrap up here. But as you can see, protesters pretty much with flags and posters expressing their disappointment.
Impeach, convict, remove! Impeach, convict, remove! Impeach, convict, remove! Impeach, convict, remove! We are the people. Donald Trump has got to go, hey, hey! Oh, oh! Donald Trump has got to go, hey, hey! Oh, oh! Donald Trump has got to go! Who we are, where we come from, where we are the people. We are the people. The mighty, mighty people. The mighty, mighty people. We won't stop now. We won't stop now. We'll never, never stop now. We'll never, never stop now. This is not a game. This is not a game. We can't hide and fear. We can't hide and fear. We really need to be here. Really need to be here. Out in these streets. Out in these streets. Out in these streets. Out in these streets. The streets of DC. Streets of DC. So we can be free. So we can be free. We deserve to be free.
Pisco. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm a two-time North Carolina A&T Aggie Pride 2005, 2016. We got on the bus this morning with Indivisible Guilford County in Greensboro, North Carolina, about 4 o'clock a.m. We drove about 6 hours to get here. Around 11 o'clock, we came because we're tired of Donald Trump. We're tired of the lies. We're tired of, the deceit. We're tired of the propaganda. We're tired of the whole nonsense administration. As a lifelong Republican, I've never once in my life had to ever worry about my rights or freedoms being removed or denied, but it does not mean I don't care about the rights and freedoms of others. Personally, the Trump administration, Trump himself, the actions, words, behaviors, all of it is nowhere consistent with my values as a man, as a Christian man. Jesus said, welcome the immigrant, not deport the immigrant. He also said, love thy neighbor, not just your straight white Christian neighbors, so-called Christian neighbors. I have a problem with white Christian nationalism. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in there. Jesus was not a white man. And I am sick and tired of the blurred lines between separation of church and state in our U.S. government going on with the MAGA movement. Instead of a democracy, we're moving more towards a theocracy, fascism, authoritarianism, and Donald Trump is a major risk to this country. And I have to use my voice as a straight white man to say, look, the North Carolina GOP better listen, because if you're not going to represent everybody, then you're not going to get to represent anybody. All of your constituents are in need. And, you know, I'm struggling with my own Congress rep, Virginia Fox, because she's not approachable. She doesn't listen. She only listens to her constituents if you got about 7 or 8 digits in your bank account. But really, the Christian hypocrisy following this guy is appalling to me. And it's my obligation as an American to use my First Amendment right to stand up and speak out, you know, not for me, but for other people whose rights and freedoms are at risk. So that's what I got.
He's not just taking our country from us, he's taking our families from us.
Fascism is in fact already here. It's not coming. It has arrived.
I'm fighting for democracy. I'm fighting for liberty and justice for all.
I'm fighting for my children. I'm determined to leave them a better country than was given to me.
I'm fighting for everyone who believes that this country still belongs to the people and not to an authoritarian president.
When the President of the United States of America threatens the lives of members of Congress,
It's abhorrent that a sitting president would make such an absolute threat against Congressmen, veterans at that, who did nothing wrong besides remind other veterans, other active duty service members to remember their oath, and they should remember their oath. Only a tyrant can call that sedition. And the fact that it's already yesterday's news, number one, shows you the failure of legacy media, and number two, shows you how normal this has become.
January 20th of this year, I was re-traumatized when Donald Trump pardoned all 6 of my attackers and the thousands of violent insurrectionists.
What kind of message did that send to you?
That if you commit violence on behalf of Donald Trump and this administration, that he will absolve you of all criminal culpability.
The president has been impeached twice. Why do you feel this is different? Why is this movement different than before?
I don't know that it is different. Here's what I know. When we impeached him twice, it made a difference. I think that impeachment in and of itself makes a difference. After he was impeached, he did not go on to win an election.
Everybody is being adversely impacted, and Donald Trump is the root cause of all of that.
Link arms, join hands, embrace people of goodwill who have the best interests of the country at heart, who want to do what they can to make a difference in the lives of the American people.
A large-scale rally erupted in Washington, D.C., with protesters calling for the impeachment and removal of Donald Trump. Hundreds, even thousands of people gathered on the National Mall, chanting slogans and expressing strong dissatisfaction with the president. Among them were many veterans who participated in a march yesterday and were present again at today's rally, demonstrating sustained and resolute public engagement. Currently, there is no impeachment action underway on Capitol Hill, and with the House, Senate, and White House all controlled by Republicans, impeachment is virtually impossible. However, this has not stopped organizations like Flare USA from launching large-scale mobilizations, and protests continue to spread nationwide, indicating a growing accumulation of public discontent with policies and leadership style. Trump is clearly displeased with these activities. He doesn't want protesters in his city, but reality cannot be stopped. Public dissatisfaction is directed not only at policies, but also at his words and actions, including his calling some people pigs. Meanwhile, documents related to the Epstein case are being released, fueling public debate and attracting widespread attention. Protesters are exercising their freedom of speech, expressing their demands, and disseminating information. Even with official channels restricted, the voices of the people continue to resonate, reminding everyone that the political storm has never ceased. Please share this widely so that more people can understand the social and political dynamics currently unfolding.
I once said that Donald Trump would be put out of office like Nixon. And it's not only the left, it's the right, the back, the front, the side, the corner. Massive rally held in DC today for the calling for the removal of Donald Trump. Let's talk about it. There was a massive rally held in DC today, in which I'm going to show you some of the clips of some of the speakers and some of the chants that was going on. But we as American people, we have to ask ourselves, why are we here today? We are here today in this position because we allowed one man to persuade the way that we should have thought. We allowed our prejudices to persuade the way that we should have voted. We allowed one man to make us feel as though he was going to do more for us than he did the first time, when we know his agenda the first time was exactly what he's on now. However, he wasn't able to initiate it because he didn't have the backing that he have now. We as American people got to get over our prejudices against human beings. Everyone is human. I don't care skin color. I don't care what race they are. I don't care what gender they wish to be. But until we get over that, America's never going to stand for anything, because we will fall for anything. But take a look at these clips of this massive rally that was held in DC today. And everything that's being said in these speakers are talking about is exactly what we could have avoided had we not let our prejudices overrule our thinking. Take a look.
For our Latino and immigrant neighbors, we need to get the cancer out. For survivors of sexual assault, we need to get the cancer out. For our beloved queer neighbors, we need to get the cancer out. For people living in food scarcity and at the edge of poverty, we need to get.
As you can see, they're calling out to everyone, every nationality, every gender anybody want to be. They're calling out to everyone. But if we had this unity in the beginning, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have been persuaded by this man who was never had America's agenda on his mind in the first place. Here's another part of the clip where they're calling for the removal. Take a look at this.
We gather here today to say, for the sake of the health and existential life of our great nation and the well-being of the planet, Donald Trump must be removed.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, people, as American people, we definitely got to do better. Drop down in the comments your feelings on how do you think America can bring us back together as one and pick up the pieces of what this man has destroyed. Don't forget to like, share, and follow me for more controversial topics.
There's a huge rally in Washington right now of people marching, demanding for his impeachment, and it's not on any news show. I found a couple on YouTube that's showing it that are live. I can't find any lives on here. It won't let me search. I wonder why, because who's controlling the media now? But there's a huge rally in Washington right now. Today, the day after Thanksgiving.
Breaking news. Protesters are flooding the streets today demanding the impeachment and removal of President Trump in Washington, D.C. Crowds have gathered near the Capitol and along Pennsylvania Avenue, holding signs, chanting, and calling on Congress to act. Organizers say the demonstrations are part of a growing national movement pushing for Trump's ouster, with rallies planned across multiple cities, but D.C. is the epicenter. Thousands are marching peacefully, joined by advocacy groups, activists, and some lawmakers who say the situation has reached a constitutional tipping point. Streets are blocked, police are monitoring the crowds, and the energy is intense, but controlled. Protest leaders argue that Trump's recent actions have crossed a line, while supporters of the president are calling the protests politically motivated. Stay tuned for updates as we follow the latest from the nation's capital.
All right, y'all. You notice there's no police officers while those people are just walking and rallying? You didn't see nary cop, did you? Now, when our people step on the street, they get in military gear and have every police department in the area down there. But you didn't see one cop on the street, not one. Okay. If they were there, they certainly know how to stay out of sight. So, this is what happened the 22nd. I think this is when it started. And they even had a rally this past Saturday. So, according to the protesters, they're going to keep showing up in DC until Donald Trump is gone. They're going to keep showing up and keep doing these rallies. I don't think they will. I think they'll tire out real fast. They may keep on protesting in their own way, but that can cost people a lot always protesting in DC, especially if you don't live there, you know? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I do have one more live that come up at 6:45, and Donald Trump is preparing for ground troops to go in Venezuela. All right, and we'll talk about that a little more in detail at 6:45. So don't forget to pick up your hair products on Etsy.com for 37% off, as well over on Shopify for 37% off. Shalom, family.